Have you noticed that most organizations struggle with how to incorporate their governance, their vendors with SLA adherence and all that stuff into their service management organizations? I have noticed that most organizations struggle with how do we reconcile all of that into one? And this is where I want to build upon my recent conversation on the SMO. It's one thing to include all of your internal incidents, changes, improvement opportunities, all of that sort of thing into your SMO. That's awesome. Metrics, all that sort of thing. But how do we take the next step and include our vendors, our SLA compliance, and all that next step, right? This is where I get frustrated with many organizations. They want to enforce things on their vendor. But let's take a step back. As you think about your services, you're in IT, you provide services throughout the organization, you have vendors that support that in those initiatives, right? Those services. They may even provide some of those services. But you as an organization, those SLAs that you have with your vendor really are, think about it as you're implicitly saying these are our SLAs to our business partners as well. For example, can you have a faster expectation for resolution for your vendors than you do internally? That probably doesn't make very much sense. So bringing all of these together, your vendor management or your service level management, whatever you want to call that with your vendors, bringing that inside your SMO really opens the thought process, opens those doors of how do we cohesively develop, create, define, deliver, and support better services. I see very few organizations where this broader SMO that includes tooling, everything that we need under one roof. Think about it this way. You can tell I get ramped up, I get fired up on this conversation. Most organizations outsource services and have SLAs or SLOs that are not ones that they created when they had those same services internally. So they don't know if those SLAs are too generous or too maybe ambitious. And so we need to make sure that we can do things internally and then present those back to our vendors down as they support us. And so most organizations, they struggle with this. And I could get into a long explanation of why, but let's think about ITIL V3 way back in the day. We had service strategy, service design, service transition, service operation, service continual service improvement. When we started having service operation, we, as many organizations did, we outsourced those. Once we outsourced those, they then became part, an extension of our organization for in another, because we have outsourced that workload to our vendor partners. But when we take that next step, our internal stakeholders, they still have the same expectations of us as they did before the outsourcing. So I'm encouraging you as a leader to think about that whole service value chain, that whole connection of services that you present, that you deliver to your stakeholders, and how can you do so more cohesively? The SMO is the answer because it congeals the incidents from your vendor partner as well as the internal, the platform and how it supports, the underlying root cause for your problems, your CMDB, all that sort of thing. So consider wrapping all of that into your SMO and have a great leader over the top. This is Jeffrey T. Fertiller. I thank you for being a part of this. Please subscribe, give us a rating if you think it needs it, and or if this warrants it. And please reach out to me if there's anything that I can do for your organization. I enjoy being a part of this industry, and I'm trying to give back. And please let me know how I can do so for you. Have an awesome, awesome day.